Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Smackdown tonight was from the Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona, while Rampage was taped from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. And Smackdown, this was their go-home show for Money in the Bank, which is tomorrow night. This show sucks. This show absolutely fucking sucks. And what do you expect? It's Smackdown every single week. This show is fucking god-awful. This show tonight might possibly be, in my opinion, the worst Smackdown of the year. This show was absolute shit the whole 2 hours. So what do we get on the show tonight? We had a Battle Royal. And the Battle Royal, the winner gets nothing. The winner, Michael Cole said, oh, well, the winner will gain momentum going into Money in the Bank. And the winner will have supremacy in WWE. Yeah, watch until I tell you all who the winner is. And I'm like, who fucking cares? Know what the winner of the match, which I'll get to. And the Battle Royal made no sense whatsoever, because we had the participants in Money in the Bank tomorrow night in this Battle Royal. What the fuck? Why are they in the Battle Royal? WWE, pointless fucking booking. Why have the participants in the Money in the Bank be in the Battle Royal? Unbelievable. We also saw a 6-woman tag team match. Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Liv Morgan versus Smiley Raquel, Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, and Lacey Evans. And then we saw the debut of the Maximum Male Models, which, oh my god. Already, they debuted tonight on Smackdown, and already in my book, this is a failure. It is an absolute failure. And these two guys, after seeing what I saw tonight, they might as well be on the next set of releases. I see this Maximum Male Models not going anywhere. Already, in my opinion, night one of this tonight is a failure in my book. And then we had Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin, Ezekiel, and The Miz. These guys were in the Battle Royal, and they're competing again in the Fatal 4-Way, which was the main event. So not only did these guys have to compete once, they had to compete twice tonight. And the winner gets the last spot in the Money in the Bank. But that was Smackdown tonight. Horrendous show it was. What a terrible 2 hours of television. We all know that Smackdown is the worst pro wrestling show on television. But before I get into the review, I just want to give my thoughts on the news that broke out yesterday. I know a lot of you have probably know this news. I want to give my thoughts on it. But apparently, Logan Paul has signed a multi-year contract with WWE. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, this is, a good thing, bringing money for WWE. To me, I don't like this. I think it is a waste of a contract. It's a waste of roster space. And thank you, WWE, for letting me know that Logan Paul signed the contract. So you gave me the advantage of when he comes on TV to change the channel. I don't understand why they are signing Logan Paul. What's next? They're going to sign his brother Jake? Are they going to sign Bad Bunny next? I can tell you, that's going to be coming soon. Watch WWE sign Bad Bunny to a multi-year contract. Hell, while you're at it, you might as well Bring back Johnny Knoxville. Have Johnny Knoxville sign a multi-year contract so he could get his revenge on Sami Zayn again. So, but this just goes to show some things. One, WWE doesn't give a shit about pro wrestling. Two, they don't want to build up new stars. And they release, a whole bunch of superstars, and yet they get rid of them only to bring in Logan Paul. Are you kidding me? And then another reason why they probably signed Logan Paul is to get the ratings up. Awful. Absolutely awful. Like I said, thank you WWE for knowing that you signed Logan Paul to a contract. So now when he comes on TV, I could change the channel whenever he shows up. And I know they're going to get comfortable with Logan Paul to the point where he's going to be featured every single week, and he's going to be channel changing. He's going to be channel changing heat. People are going to be picking up their remotes and changing the channel every time he's on TV. What a waste of a contract and a waste of roster space. I know some of you might say, oh, well, give it a chance. Why? What's Logan Paul going to bring? This is like I said, WWE not wanting to build new stars, and they'll just bring in anybody. And Logan Paul, he's not a wrestler. He's a fighter in the ring, but from what I understand, the fights that he had, he lost them. God. But like I said, watch WWE sign Bad Bunny to a multi-year contract. That's going to be coming up very soon. That's my thoughts on Logan Paul signing with WWE. I don't give a shit. I don't care. So let's jump right into the review. Smackdown opened up with the Money in the Bank participants. They were on the ladder. We saw McIntyre, Riddle, Sami Zayn, Sheamus, Seth Rollins. Omos was standing in the ring. I can't believe that Omos is in the Money in the Bank. I really can't believe it. Was you going to see tomorrow night, Omos climbing the ladder? Watch Omos, when he climbs up the ladder, he breaks, the ladder, one step of the ladder. Watch. I wouldn't be surprised. Unless they have a big, huge, tall ladder for him that's heavy. So Rollins was on the mic. He welcomed everyone to the show. Yep, speaking for everybody. And he was interrupted by McIntyre and Riddle. Rollins ended up saying that the best time and place to cash in Money in the Bank will be after the main event of SummerSlam. He ended up saying that he cashed in on Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar before, and that it's like taking candy from a baby. So Rollins ended up saying that he's hoping Reigns wins at SummerSlam so he can cash in on him. So it'll be a rehash of what we saw at WrestleMania 31. Sami Zayn got on the mic and he reminded us he is an honorary Uce and that he promises to secure the Money in the Bank contract, keeping it in-house in the bloodline. Sami Zayn wanted to say that as long as he has the contract, Reigns is safe from the rest of these vultures. So MVP then got on the mic. MVP ended up saying that they're all ignoring the giant Omos in their midst, and he will be the last man standing. My God, can you imagine if WWE has Omos win the Money in the Bank tomorrow night? Oh, God help us all if that happens. So Sheamus got on the mic. He reminded us that he's already won Money in the Bank and successfully cashed in on Reigns. He wanted to say that cashing in on Brock Lesnar will be a tougher challenge. So McIntyre ended up saying that he beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes and that he'll beat all of them at Money in the Bank. And so then the Miz ended up coming out. Miz ended up saying that he cashed in on McIntyre to win the WWE Championship and that he deserves to be in Money in the Bank. So then Ezekiel ended up coming out. Ezekiel came out, he introduced himself, saying that he is Elias's brother. To those who may not know that, obviously, Ezekiel, we all know, is Elias himself. Ezekiel ended up saying that he was supposed to have a qualifying match against Kevin Owens, which that was supposed to take place on Raw on Monday, this past Monday, but that didn't happen because Kevin Owens, he didn't want to come to Texas, and it was supposed to be him versus Ezekiel or Elias or their younger brother, Elrod. I'm still trying to understand what the fuck is a Elrod. Yeah, I hope that match does not take place. I really don't. So Ezekiel, I'm saying that if anyone should get a spot in the match, it should be him. And then we got Corbin's music ended up playing. Corbin, I'm saying that he should be in the Money in the Bank match. And then Madcap Moss ended up coming out. Moss ended up saying that the thought of Corbin squandering the contract again, the Money in the Bank contract again, is hysterical. So Madcap Moss ended up saying that he wants the last spot in Money in the Bank. So then everybody started arguing. Adam Pearce ended up coming out. Adam Pearce requested that the ladders to be cleared from the ring and that we are going to have a battle royal. And so the match happened next, after the commercial. So pretty much that was basically the segment. Overall, this segment was awful. It was absolute cringe. It's the same typical WWE formula. One guy comes out, says, "Oh, I want to be in Money in the Bank." Then the next guy comes out, "Oh, I want to be in Money in the Bank." Then the next one comes out. Typical WWE formula 101. With a certain superstar coming out saying, "Oh, I want a shot at this. Oh, I want to be in Money in the Bank." It's typical. Typical WWE Creative 101. And then we had the Battle Royal, which was the first match of the night, to which this Battle Royal made 0 sense. Because we had the participants in the Money in the Bank competing in this Battle Royal. Why? And then you have The Miz, Ezekiel, Corbin, and Moss in there. I said, this Battle Royal made no fucking sense. The winner of the match will just have supremacy and build momentum going into Money in the Bank, as said by Michael Cole. So we had everyone fighting. Sami Zayn was just, avoiding contact from these guys. Sami Zayn jumped in. He tried to eliminate Riddle. Riddle ended up hanging on. Omos ended up pounding on Ezekiel in the corner and eliminated him. Omos threw Moss over the top and Moss got eliminated. Sami Zayn pushed Miz into Omos, and that's when Omos eliminated the Miz. Riddle ended up going after Omos, but he ended up getting cut down by a knee to the gut by Omos. McIntyre and Omos ended up having a stare down. McIntyre ended up firing away at Omos. We had Sheamus and McIntyre. They ended up sneaking up from behind. They ended up dumping Omos over the top rope out to the floor, so Omos was eliminated. And then it was down to McIntyre, Riddle, Corbin, Sami Zayn, and Sheamus. So Corbin was leading on McIntyre in the corner. Riddle was beaten up by Sami Zayn and Sheamus. And they end up trying to throw Riddle over the top rope, but Riddle ended up hanging on. So then it came down to McIntyre and Sheamus, because Sami Zayn was eliminated. Sami Zayn, he ended up trying to sneak up on McIntyre, but McIntyre ended up laying him out with the Claymore, so McIntyre eliminated Sami Zayn. So it was just down to McIntyre and Sheamus. And Corbin ended up sneaking up. So Corbin was still in the Battle Royal. So he was basically out. And he ended up sneaking up, ended up dumping both McIntyre and Sheamus over the top rope out to the floor. And there you go. Corbin ended up winning the Battle Royal. So as Michael Cole said, Corbin's going to have momentum going into Money in the Bank tomorrow. Who cares? Who cares? So you have Michael Cole and McAfee end up saying that Corbin had been hiding out on the floor and that they've forgotten about him. So pretty much that was basically that. And then Corbin's just laughing. He's laughing at McAfee over there at the commentary table. Because, they're setting up for Corbin versus Pat McAfee, which is going to be the SummerSlam match. Who's looking forward to that? Awful. So then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had Corbin celebrating backstage. Caleb Braxton ended up coming up to him. Corbin ended up telling Caleb Braxton that he's so happy that he's farting rainbows. Who writes this shit? So Corbin ended up talking about how sad he made all the fans because they can't admit how great he is. Corbin is boring in the ring. And then Caleb Braxton ended up asking Corbin about Pat McAfee's challenge for a match against him. And Corbin didn't even say anything. He was speechless. So that was basically that. But that match is going to happen. Corbin versus Pat McAfee. That's going to happen at SummerSlam. And then we went back to the commentary table. Pat McAfee ended up calling Corbin a bum. And then we saw a hype video for Ronda Rousey and Natalya. So we end up seeing that. And then Meg Moran interviewed Natalya backstage, to which Natalya ended up mocking Ronda's movie appearances. And she ended up saying that she sees nothing but fear in Ronda's eyes because she knows the sharpshooter hurt her. And she knows that Ronda isn't 100%. So Natalya ended up vowing to be the first person to make Ronda tap out. So that was pretty much basically what Natalya had to say, but this is going to be a boring match tomorrow night. Ronda Rousey versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Not looking forward to it. And then we had the New Day. We had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods end up coming out. So we saw a recap of them dancing with Shanky. Of course, Shanky. So you think you can dance Shanky, busting moves. And then they show that they were attacked by the Viking Raiders, which they called the New and Vicious Viking Raiders. So that was according to Michael Cole. So then Kofi and Xavier, they were in the ring. They had mics in hand. Kofi ended up saying that there's nothing better than being in Phoenix in June. To which Xavier ended up pointing out to Kofi that we are in July. So Kingston was like, July-in? And Xavier Woods ended up paying Kofi $5. So they ended up saying that they're here to have a good time. But the Viking Raiders had to come out and ruin it last week. Xavier Woods Xavier Woods ended up encouraging the crowd to boo the Viking Raiders even louder. Kingston ended up saying that these are new and vicious Viking Raiders. So Xavier Woods ended up saying, "Let's get dangerous." Kofi then invited the Viking Raiders to bring their ass guards out here. So the Viking Raiders end up making their way out, and Samantha Irvin end up pointing out that they are the new and vicious Viking Raiders. So they come out, they have their shields, they're both carrying shields, and they're wearing face paint. Yeah, it's going to make them, very vicious. So we had the New Day and the Viking Raiders, they brawled. The Viking Raiders end up using their shields to batter both Kofi and Xavier Woods. And this was supposed to be a match, but the bell didn't ring. So the match never really got underway. So Kingston ended up getting to his feet. He ended up getting run down by Ivar and the Shield. So the Viking Raiders looked like that they were ready to leave. And they end up coming back into the ring. They end up lifting Kofi high in the air. And they end up delivering a powerbomb. And they laid out Kofi and Xavier in the ring. So the match between New Day and the Viking Raiders, or the new and vicious Viking Raiders, did not happen. So that was basically that. So then we went backstage and we saw an argument between Corbin, Ezekiel, The Miz, and Madcap Moss. These guys, they all want to be in Money in the Bank. So Adam Pearce was there. He restored a bit of order. And he ended up announcing that there will be a fatal four-way to decide who will be the final participant in Money in the Bank. So not only did all these guys have to compete once, they had to compete twice. So we had a fatal four-way. Why couldn't they do this for the Battle Royal? But no, we had to have the participants who are going to be in Money in the Bank in the Battle Royal. I said, that Battle Royal made zero fucking sense. And then we had Asuka end up making her way out. And then Liv Morgan. And then Alexa Bliss. So we had the 6-woman tag team match. And then as Smackdown came back from the commercial, we saw Lacey Evans and Shotzi and Raquel Rodriguez, Smiley Raquel, getting her smiles on as she made her way out. So they were on the ring. And then Becky Lynch ended up making her way out. Becky Lynch coming out with glasses. And she ended up saying, after all she's been through to get into the Women's Money in the Bank, she's taking the night off and joining the commentary table with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole for the match. Oh, and I want to know how many people picked up their remotes and muted the TV while Becky Lynch was on commentary. Just Becky Lynch on commentary is absolutely awful. So then, we went to the match, the 6-woman tag team match. This was boring. Asuka and Shotzi end up starting it off. Shotzi ended up dodging some strikes by Asuka, but she ended up backing Asuka into the corner. Tagged in Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans and Asuka end up blocking up as Evans ended up taking down Asuka. Ended up grabbing her in a waistlock. Evans whipped Asuka into the corner. And Rodriguez ended up tagging in and delivered a splash. Lacey Evans then ended up hitting a handstand in the corner into a drop kick on Asuka. We had Raquel Rodriguez end up getting caught in a sunset flip by Asuka, So Asuka ended up getting to a corner and tagged in Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss was in the ring. Raquel Rodriguez cornered Alexa Bliss and whipped her into the corner. She ended up picking up Alexa Bliss. Bliss ended up slipping out the back. And she ended up running into a shoulder tackle by Raquel. Alexa Bliss ended up avoiding another charge by Raquel into the corner. And Alexa Bliss ended up tagging in Liv Morgan. So Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan hit a double drop kick to Raquel Rodriguez. And Liv Morgan ended up going for the cover. Raquel Rodriguez ended up kicking out. So at the end of the match, we had Shotzi ended up tossing Asuka out of the ring. And then she ended up turning around right into the Oblivion by Liv Morgan. So Liv Morgan ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Liv Morgan ended up winning the match. Post-match, Michael Cole on commentary ended up saying that Liv Morgan is his pick to win Money in the Bank. I'm sorry, Michael Cole, but Liv Morgan is not winning Money in the Bank. So Becky Lynch ended up sneaking into the ring. She ended up hitting manhandle slam to Asuka and headed back up the stage to the entrance. And that was basically that. But that is your Money in the Bank winner. Becky Lynch is winning Money in the Bank tomorrow night. But overall, boring match. Boring 6-woman tag match. And then we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was backstage. Sonya Deville ended up coming in to visit Adam Pearce. Sonya Deville ended up telling Pearce that it was wrong for Pearce to put her in a 2-on-1 match last week. A 2-on-1 handicap match last week. Sonya Deville ended up saying that she filed a formal complaint against him. And then she ended up slapping Adam Pearce in the face, to which I liked how the way Pat McAfee reacted on commentary. He was like, oh, which made me laugh just by how the way his reaction was to the slap. I just found it funny, Pat McAfee's reaction. It just came off, just funny to me, where he was like, oh. So it was just funny. So you can tell that Sonya Deville is going to have some consequences on her. So then we had the Usos. The Usos end up coming out for them and the Street Profits. It was a Ask Them Anything confrontation. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, the Street Profits end up making their way out. Caleb Braxton was officiating this confrontation between them. So the podiums were set up in there. One podium for the Usos, one podium for the Street Profits. So Caleb Braxton ended up starting with the Usos. She asked the Usos their first question. And their question was, how fearful are you of losing your titles tomorrow night? And are you even more faithful of what the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, would think if they lost? So the Usos end up saying to Caleb Braxton that they are not fearful because the bloodline is running all the damn shows. So Montez Ford end up retorting that, saying that Reigns runs the whole show. And while Angelo Dawkins end up saying that, adds, while the Usos are running to the grocery store. So Caleb Braxton ended up asking the Profits about it being a while since they held Tag Team Gold and lost at WrestleMania. Caleb Braxton ended up also asking about Montez Ford and Dawkins, a rumor of them not getting along. So the Profits end up telling Caleb Braxton, oh, where'd you get that rumor from? The dirt sheets? So Montez Ford ended up giving, a brief Samoan dynasty history lesson, and he ended up assuring that him and Dawkins are as hungry as ever. Jey Uso then chimed in, ended up warning Montez Ford to not talk about their legacy. So the Usos end up saying that they want the smoke. So Caleb Braxton left the ring. Dawkins ended up saying that him and Montez Ford are the ones. So they had a stare down, and both teams didn't start punching each other. The Usos end up getting out of the ring, and pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. But I thought this segment was good. I really liked it, and it was the only good thing on Smackdown tonight. Like this segment. And then we went backstage and we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was visited by Max Dupree. And Max Dupree ended up telling Adam Pearce, finally, the world will see the magnificence of the maximum male models. So that was basically what Max Dupree had to say to Adam Pearce. So we're going to see Max Dupree's guys in the maximum male models. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Max Dupree was in the ring. He was going to introduce his two men, part of the maximum male models. And my God, was this terrible. My God. So Max Dupree was in the ring, had a spotlight on him. So Dupree ended up hyping up the viral men in all of fashion. He ended up introducing Mace, and Mace's new name that he's going under now as part of Max Dupree's Maximum Male Models, he's going to be known as Mace. Yeah, Mace is Mace's new name now. So Mace ended up strolling out onto the stage, and the stage was set up as like a catwalk. It had a red carpet. So he comes out, starts posing. We had paparazzi photographers snapping pics of Mace. So he's striking a pose. You know, Dupree ends up going into detail about Mace's physique. So that was basically just that. Mace ends up coming down the stage, set up like a catwalk with the red carpet. Photographers are just snapping pics of him. And then he ended up going to the back. So then Dupree ended up introducing his next male model. He ended up saying that we used to know him as Mansoor. And that he is now going to be called Mansoor. Yeah, that's Mansoor's new name, Mansoor, under Max Dupree's Maximum Male Models. God, this is awful. So he comes out, he's wearing glasses, shades. You look buff. It's been a while since we've seen Mansoor on TV. You know, photographers, paparazzi are taking pictures of him. Dupree ended up calling Mansoor the heartthrob of the fashion world. He ended up also saying that he has a ton of charisma. And then he ended up going backstage, Mansoor. So Dupree ended up saying that many will be clamoring to join his agency, but unless they have the qualities of Mace and Mansoor, forget it. Dupree ended up saying that they are here to titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. And that was that. Just by watching this, I'm like, am I watching a wrestling show or am I watching a fashion show? This was awful. And people are liking this and are getting behind this. They are getting behind this for all the wrong reasons. You had Max Dupree out there wearing Urkel glasses, these red Urkel glasses. Man, this already, like I said earlier, this is already a failure in my book just by night one. This is not going to get over, in my opinion. You might as well have Mansoor and Mace have their two names on next set of WWE releases. This is not going to go anywhere. And if it does, it is for the wrong reasons. This shit was awful. Hell, I don't even want to see this on my TV again. But WWE, they're going to try so hard to push it. God, it was awful. And then we had Megan Morant. Megan Morant was backstage. She ended up introducing Ronda Rousey. And Ronda ended up saying that it's been nice teaching Natalya how to promote a fight. She ended up saying that she'll tap out Natalya at Money in the Bank. So pretty much that was basically that. And then, I forgot to mention, after the Maximum Male Models segment ended, you had Pat McAfee giving it a stand ovation. And Michael Cole was sitting there. He had a look on his face like he was cringing. Like he cringed watching that whole segment. So I'm like, why is Pat McAfee giving it a standing ovation? The shit was awful. So then we had the main event, which was the Fatal 4-Way. The winner will get to be the last participant in Money in the Bank. So it was Corbin, Moss, The Miz, and Ezekiel. These guys competing 2 times tonight. Since that, they'll go through a Don't Make Sense Battle Royal earlier in the night. So Corbin ended up going after Ezekiel. Moss went after The Miz. Miz ended up trying to do a roll-up on Moss, and Moss ended up kicking out. Ezekiel ended up trying to do a roll-up on Moss, and Moss ended up kicking out. So Ezekiel and Moss ended up squaring off in the ring. Ezekiel ended up slamming Moss. Moss came back and delivered a back elbow to Ezekiel, to which Ezekiel ended up rolling out to the floor. Corbin ended up coming in and he went after Moss. So Moss ended up hitting a flying shoulder tackle from the second turnbuckle. Miz ended up blindsiding Moss. Him and Corbin started working Moss over in the corner. And, the last laugh match between Corbin and Moss, that was supposed to be the last time that those guys would ever fight. But apparently, WWE tend to forget that, because we had Corbin and Moss fighting again in this match. And they fought in the Battle Royal also. So that last laugh match was bullshit. So Corbin ended up luring The Miz into a clothesline. Corbin ended up clotheslining. He tried to clothesline Ezekiel, but Ezekiel was on the floor to cut off Corbin. Miz ended up missing a drop kick through the ropes, and Moss and Ezekiel ended up knocking The Miz back into the ring. Corbin ended up sending Moss into the ring steps, and he dropped The Miz on the ring apron. Corbin then ended up chokeslamming Ezekiel on top of the commentary table. So as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Moss was delivering on The Miz. He was delivering a shoulder tackle, and he slammed The Miz. He ended up going for the cover, and Corbin ended up breaking up the pin. So at the end of the match, we had Corbin end up pinning the end of days on Ezekiel. Moss ended up breaking up the pin. Moss ended up covering Ezekiel, and he ended up getting the pin. So there you go. Madcap Moss ended up winning the match. Moss is now the final participant in Money in the Bank. So that was that. Moss was celebrating in the ring. Pat McAfee ended up mocking Corbin. He ended up calling Corbin bum-ass Corbin. And that was basically how SmackDown went off the air. Overall, horrendous show tonight. This was the worst SmackDown of the year and a awful go-home show for Money in the Bank. You had a battle royal that made zero fucking sense with the Money in the Bank participants competing in that match. You had the Maximum Male Models segment, which was terrible. I don't want to see another bit of that on TV anymore. It's already a failure in my book after tonight. What an awful show SmackDown is. This show sucks. This show absolutely fucking sucks. Moving on to AEW Rampage, which was a good show tonight. We had a Battle Royal, and we also had the Young Bucks versus Yoshi, Hashi, and Hirooko, Goto. In the main event, it was Toni Storm versus Nyla Rose. And the Battle Royal was called the Royal Rampage. And Rampage started off with that. Rampage started off with the Royal Rampage Battle Royal. And I really liked the concept for this Battle Royal because you had, two rings. Of course, they shoot Rampage after Dynamite goes off the air. And I think they might have shot this Rampage before Dynamite. Not too sure about that, but they had the two rings in there. And what I really liked was they used the two rings. You had one ring be the red ring, the other ring, the blue ring. And as the superstars came out, they would say, oh, this one's going in the red ring, this one's going in the blue ring. So Hangman Page ended up making his way out. He was in the red ring. He was red number 2. Darby Allin then ended up making his way out. So he was blue number 2. So Hangman Page fought in the red ring. Darby Allin fought in the blue ring. And I liked the different concept that was set up for that. Totally different take on a battle royal. But you had Page ended up starting off in the red ring against Powerhouse Will Hobbs, who was also in the red ring. Darby Allin started off against Tony Nese, who was in the blue ring. Hobbs ended up quickly pounding Page in the corner, and Nese ended up taking down Darby Allin. Ricky Starks then entered. He was in the red ring, and Page was in the red ring now with Hobbs and Starks. Page and Starks were trading strikes, and Hobbs ended up quickly pounding on him. So you had the Butcher end up entering. He was in the blue ring. Butcher ended up grabbing Darby Allin, started ragdolling him against the barricade. John Silver of the Dark Order, he was number 4 in the red ring. He came into Page's aid. He was going after Hobbs and Starks. There was a point where we thought that either Page or Silver were going to eliminate each other. And Page and Silver end up hugging in the middle of the ring. Silver turned his back. Page ended up acting like he was going to toss Silver out of the ring, but he ended up stopping. He was just kidding. And so, Silver did the same thing, thinking that, oh, he's going to eliminate Page, but, he was just kidding around with that. And then Max Caster came out. Max Caster was rapping about, Malice in the Palace. He mentioned about winning the title so Tony Khan would hug him, the AEW World Championship. So Max Caster was in the blue ring. He was number 4. Butcher was in control of the blue ring. and we had Roosh making his way out. Roosh was in the Red Ring at number 5. He came out along with Jose and Andrade. Of course, Roosh is a former Ring of Honor World Champion, to which Tony Schiavone ended up mentioning that. So Roosh ended up no-selling some shots by John Silver and delivered a vertical suplex. And Roosh is very good in the ring. So the Blade ended up coming out. The Blade was number 5 in the blue ring. So Butch and the Blade were together in the blue ring. They double teamed on Darby Allin. Penta Oscuro ended up coming out. He was in the red ring. He was number 6. Roosh ended up coming down to the entranceway to meet Penta. Penta ended up hitting Roosh with a super kick and a sling blade on the ramp, which was cool. Penta ended up rolling Roosh back into the ring, jumped off the top turnbuckle into a drop kick by Roosh. So John Silver was eliminated. Swerve ended up coming into the ring. He was in the blue ring. Swerve ended up taking down Butcher and the Blade and Max Caster. Caster ended up charging in, and Swerve ended up dumping Caster over the top rope, kicked him off the apron, so Max Caster got eliminated. Keith Lee then ended up entering at number 7 in the red ring. So Keith Lee and Swerve, they were in, separate rings. Keith Lee was in the red ring, Swerve was in the blue ring. So Keith Lee ended up stepping into the red ring. He stared down at Swerve. Hobbs and Starks end up attacking Keith Lee from behind. And then during the commercial break, it was picture-in-picture. Matt Hardy ended up entering at number 7 in the blue ring. And it was Delete Matt Hardy. So Matt Hardy ended up going right after the Butcher and the Blade. And then Dustin Rhodes ended up entering. Dustin was number 8 in the red ring. So we had Roosh end up hitting the low blow at Penta, and Penta ended up grabbing Roosh, and he ended up falling out to the floor. So both Penta and Roosh were both eliminated. Frank Kazarian ended up entering at number 8 in the blue ring. Andrade was helping Roosh beat up Penta on the floor. Matt Hardy hit the side effect on the Blade. Blade ended up reversing the twist of fate, and the Butcher ended up dumping him over the top rope. And then Dante Martin entered at number 9 in the red ring. And then we had Hook. He was being interviewed backstage, and he got annoyed with the approach in this interview. He ended up giving some cryptic advice. Pretty much that was basically that. And then we had the Young Bucks versus Hirooko and Yoshi-Hashi. And if Goto and Yoshi-Hashi won the match, they got a shot at the AEW World Tag Team Championship. And this was a good match here. Nick Jackson started off against Goto, and Nick ended up going for some kicks. Goto responded with a shoulder tackle to Nick Jackson, and Goto tagged in Yoshi, and Goto and Yoshi ended up double teaming on Nick Jackson. They ended up taking down Matt Jackson, ended up hitting their war drums on Matt Jackson, and then they did it to Nick. Yoshi ended up whipping Nick, but he ended up holding on to the rope. Matt ended up tagging in, and he ended up hitting his Northern Light suplexes on Yoshi. Goto ended up trying to intervene, and Matt ended up taking down both Yoshi and Goto. Nick ended up running up the turnbuckle, hit a Escalera onto Goto, and he ended up hitting to Yoshi on the floor. And as Rampage came back from the commercial, we had Yoshi end up taking Nick over with a suplex and tagged in Goto. Goto ended up running with a running leg lariat onto Matt Jackson, and he ended up hitting a running bulldog. Goto ended up lifting Matt Jackson. Matt ended up slipping out the back, Nick made a blind tag, and the Bucks end up double teaming on Goto. And we had Nick end up going for the cover. Yoshi ended up breaking up the pin. So we had the Bucks end up hitting a double super kick on Goto. And then they went for the BT trigger on Yoshi. Goto rolled into the second ring. Nick ended up running up the turnbuckle for a double springboard dive-in attack on Goto. Matt ended up setting up Yoshi for the Meltzer driver. Nick ended up flying back into the ring, and he ended up getting the pin. And there you go. The Bucks ended up winning the match. So Yoshi, Hashi, and Hirooko Goto don't get a shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles. But overall, it was a good match between these teams. And then we had Jonathan Gresham. Jonathan Gresham, he's the Ring of Honor World Champion. Gresham is saying that he and Lee Moriarty will take on two of Tully Blanchard's clients next Friday on Rampage. Gresham is saying that he's the best technical wrestler in the world. He is saying that he's tired of seeing others laying claim to that distinction. So it showed, Claudio and Bryan Danielson in there. Gresham saying that'll prove he is who he says he is. So pretty much, that was, basically that. And then we saw Mark Henry. Mark Henry was interviewing Nyla Rose and Toni Storm. Maria Shafir was there with Nyla Rose. We can't escape Maria Shafir. So Nyla Rose ended up saying that Toni Storm is encroaching on her territory because she is the number one contender. Toni Storm ended up saying that once she's done with Nyla Rose, she'll be going back after Thunder Rosa and the AEW Women's World Championship. So that was what they had to say. But Maria Shafir, she has been shown more on TV than Thunder Rosa, I feel like. How? How is that? So then we had the main event. Nyla Rose versus Toni Storm. Nyla Rose came out along with Maria Shafir and then Toni Storm. This match sucked. And from what I heard, when this match was taking place, people were walking out of the arena. They were already leaving. I don't blame them. This match sucked. So Nyla Rose and Toni Storm end up locking up. Nyla Rose ended up overpowering on Toni Storm with some forearms to her back. So Nyla Rose ended up missing a punt kick. Toni Storm fired back with some forearm strikes. She ended up running into a big clothesline by Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose ended up coming off the ropes. Toni Storm ended up catching Rose with a drop toe hold and a low drop kick. Toni Storm ended up backing Nyla Rose into the corner, started firing away with some strikes. We had Nyla Rose end up hitting a vertical suplex onto Toni Storm. So we had Toni Storm firing up with some forearm strikes to Nyla Rose. Toni Storm ended up hitting the ropes. Maria Shafir got involved. She ended up pulling down the middle rope, and Toni Storm ended up going out to the floor. Maria Shafir ended up kicking down Toni Storm. And as Rampage came back from the commercial, we had Toni Storm was reeling from a rear chin lock by Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose ended up missing the Cannonball Senton in the corner, to which Toni Storm ended up hitting her running hip attack in the corner to Nyla Rose. And once again, Maria Shafir got involved. She ended up reaching into the ring, and Toni Storm ended up kicking away at Maria Shafir. So at the end of the match, we had Toni Storm end up hitting a German suplex to Nyla Rose. She ended up going for the cover, and Nyla Rose ended up kicking out at 2. Maria Shafir got on the ring apron. Toni Storm ended up kicking off Maria Shafir while hitting a tornado DT onto Nyla Rose, to which Toni Storm ended up hitting a second DDT, and she ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Toni Storm ended up winning the match. Post-match, Maria Shafir ended up attacking Toni Storm. Thunder Rosa ended up running down to the ring, and she ended up taking out both Nyla Rose and Maria Shafir. So Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm ended up clearing the ring of both Nyla Rose and Maria Shafir. Toni Storm then offered her hand for Thunder Rosa to shake it, to which Thunder Rosa did. And that was how Rampage went off the air. Overall, this match sucked, but Rampage, was an enjoyable show tonight. But anyways, that's it for my Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all with the Money in the Bank review.